DNVR Broncos live, coming to you from Studio A here on a Friday.
Friday, baby.
A stands for A, B, C, D, E.
No Fs, huh? We're not giving any Fs away.
No, because we're ranking the Broncos 1 through 5, which could also be A through E.
Man, what if life was like that? Instead of life being like 1 through 5, you did things by numbers. Or by letters, I mean. Yeah.
Whoa.
And you better be in your room.
Yep.
Wow, if you replace all numbers with letters, that would be insane. Because then everything's based on like 26.
So like A plus A equals C.
Whoa. No, wait, it would be B.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, A plus A would be B.
What,
but then,
A plus B equals C, which is already a thing.
What's X minus G?
This is not a math show. But once you get past Z, you'd have to say like AA.
Right.
Which would be 27.
Yeah.
Which would be such a weird number for that to restart at. Like 10 seems so normal.
Boy, thank goodness it's not like that.
I'm glad we hashed that out.
Wow.
Happy Friday, boys.
What if you replace letters with numbers?
Yeah.
It's called binary code.
It is not. that is not.
This show is now a Rocky show. Undefeated.
Let's go.
Rocky show until they lose.
162-0, baby.
I told you guys to make all these bets.
Actually, no, you told us to do the opposite. You said the Rockies are off outside of the April bet, the first month bet. You told us just how bad they were going to be.
Wow. I have the Rockies be the last team to lose. I've got the Rockies start 5-0. Hey, put my money where my mouth is.
Wow.
Season series gets Padres looking good. Got to go 6-6 the rest of the way.
It is looking good.
Yep. We got to get 10.5 more wins.
Man, how about CJ Crone?
I know, on pace for 364 home runs. Is that right?
No, it wouldn't be 364. It'd be 324.
It'd be 3.
Oh, yeah, 324.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it's not
Math.
I had
Also on
82
pace.
I had Nuggets Avs 82 in my head.
810 RBI.
Yeah.
RBIs. I don't know why I hesitated.
Ads are presented to you by DraftKings Sportsbook.
Yep.
Certainly are. They certainly are. That'd be an okay season. That'd be pretty good.
Yep.
He probably would come in second in MVP somehow.
I hate that there's people that try to say, like, it's not RBIs, it's RBI.
I hate that so freaking much.
Well, it is technically RBI.
But it isn't.
Yeah, but that's...
But nobody does, like, that doesn't apply anywhere else. Like prisoners of war, POWs, like weapons of mass destruction.
Why do you
WMDs.
point to just terrible things?
Because it just turns out that those acronyms are usually
runs
bad.
batted in, and you bring up prisoners of war and weapons of mass destruction.
But again, the S goes on the end. That's these baseball nerds. They know numbers and nothing else.
That's hilarious.
Your head either goes Doomsday or the Kansas City Chiefs.
I believe in something called aesthetic grammar.
Wow.
And like RBIs just sounds better than RBI.
It does.
He had 4 RBI. Like, that doesn't sound right.
You
So
sound
just
like
do
an
the
idiot,
thing that
yeah.
sounds better.
Now that you say this, it's Mike McDaniels. You know, that just sounds better.
see,
It
that-
rolls off. It fits.
When
That
we
doesn't
had
make any sense.
Yes, it
when we had
does.
Q on last week, there was one of your questions where you brought up McDaniels 3 times.
Said it differently.
Yeah, and you said it differently. No, I guess only 2 of them were different. I think there were 2 without the S, 1 with the S.
And you know what? Q's a good guy. He didn't say anything.
I know.
He's like, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
He wasn't like, you jerks.
I
wasn't
mean,
sure
I
if I
honestly let
should.
you get away with it for a long time before I just felt like I was doing the wrong thing by not telling you were wrong.
Yeah.
It's like if you your friend has something on their lip and you're like, should I tell them? You're like, I'll give them a chance to get it themselves.
There's nobody else
Was
around.
there any question of who I'm talking about?
No.
Well, as long as you use first and last.
I think
Otherwise,
I
old
always do.
McDaniels
Yeah.
could get confusing. Coach McDaniel.
Yeah. It's hard to I don't know. When you're around someone a lot, you just don't want to have to keep hearing it the wrong way.
Well, why didn't you step in during another interview that we had and help someone out?
I wasn't going to talk to him that much more. Henry still doesn't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I remember it now. Wow, this is just like the first time.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
resume
it's true.
the
It's
conversation
true.
here. And
What is the conversation?
the conversation is ranking the Broncos offensive line.
Yes.
How do you feel like, I don't know, I'm wired to think the Broncos offensive line sucks. And I'm having to
So is Broncos
rewire
Country.
myself to be like, these guys might actually be good.
But you know what? It's not just you. It's not just Broncos country. That's kind of the country, the nation itself. Outside of like the top 5 offensive lines in the country, everyone typically thinks that they have like a bottom 5 offensive line. And it's like, no, not every team can be a bottom 5 offensive line. There are some good offensive lines. And I think Garett Bolles has unfortunately fell in that category for a lot of people outside of his all-pro year. He kind of fell in the category of, wait, he's not a top 5 left tackle, so he must be a bottom 5 left tackle. And we just kind of viewed like that. No, obviously he had a lot of things that he did to not help that. His number was always being called. It became a joke. It became a meme. But Garett Bolles probably not as bad as people thought he was. And then that all-pro season really helped him. So I think you're fair to come from that perspective, Ryan.
Yeah, and it's just odd because you like go through 1 through 5 right now, and you're just like, man, the best case scenario for these guys is really good.
Yep.
But I guess what I'm having a hard time with is like, well, what if Bolles is the weak link? What does that do to the team?
Right.
What if Cush is the weak link? What does that do to the team?
Right.
What if McGlinchey isn't worth the money? And so, like, again, I think it's one of those things where you're just wired, like, with an offensive line, there's so much that goes into it. The scheme, the coaching, the chemistry amongst them, that it's just, like, so easy to keep question marks. And the reason I bring it up is because we had Tyler Brown of the Buffs over here sitting right where you are yesterday, taking up a little bit, or not yesterday, a couple days ago, taking up a little bit more of the seat.
I don't think so.
And he was just like talking about teams that he would like to go to. He grew up a Bears fan, so he's like Bears, and he's like, I would love the Broncos. And I was like, oh yeah, we need the help. And then I was like, I'm just wired to believe we actually don't need the help right now. But it's interesting. I don't know. It's kind of like a new world here where the Broncos offensive line could be really good.
It's really true. And so let's first talk about who's the best offensive lineman. And when you look at all 5 offensive linemen, there's really one guy that has been consistent. Only one that has been consistent for multiple years in my mind, and that's Mike McGlinchey. And so he's kind of up there with consistency, but then top-end elite play, he's not up there, where we have seen that from some other guys. But you look at Garett Bolles, 1 all-pro year. It was a great year. Other than that, he hasn't been great. He's actually been really bad and held the team back sometimes with the penalties. So very inconsistent outside of 1 year. You look at Quinn Meinerz, really only started 1 year, so it's hard to point to him and be like he's consistent. And Ben Powers, he's been elite 1 year. It helps to me in my mind that it was the most recent year. But other than that, I mean, he's been fighting to be a starter, fighting for playing time. Mike McGlinchey, on the other hand, has never had to worry about his job. He's always been a starter, and I think his play has been pretty darn consistent. Really never been that elite level, but he's been a top 15, top 10 right tackle for his entire career. And then obviously Lloyd Cushenberry, probably a tier below that. Rarely seen him be good or consistent for a full year or anything like that.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to separate them. It's really hard to say who's the. I mean, Lloyd's last. We do know that. Like it's
we'll get to the rankings.
Yes,
we'll get to the ranking.
But the other 4, I mean, we did this last week. You could seriously make a case for any one of them.
So who are you making a case for?
Are we doing the rankings already?
No, we're just making a case for who's the best.
Oh, okay. I think it might just be Garett Bolles. I think that when you look through, and I do factor in a little bit that his job is the hardest. Left tackle does have the hardest job on the offensive line. Again, like it's different than positional value. It's not like, oh, he's more valuable because of that. But, when he has a couple more penalties than Ben Powers does, a lot more than Ben Powers, it's like, well, of course, because tackles just get called for more penalties because they do that more. You look at the all-pro.
Would you make the argument that Garett Bolles' job is more difficult than Mike McGlinchey's?
Yes.
Why so?
Blindside. I mean, you're going up against the best pass rusher every week. That other side.
I feel like that's kind of more of an archaic thing. I think pass rushers nowadays are flipping sides, and it's not always that traditional.
I think it still is. I mean, we can double check and go through some of these numbers, but it does feel like Vaughn's always on the same side. Like Vaughn's always going up against the left tackle. That's because you don't really care about matchup. You're not trying to say, like, who does he have a better chance to beat? When he's that dominant, you say, where is it more valuable to beat somebody? And it's left side by a mile. But let me double check that.
I don't know. I feel like right tackle has certainly picked up a lot of room in terms of the importance with left tackle.
And I think more teams have been willing to say they've got a great left tackle,
right?
But we don't like their right tackle, so we'll flip the matchup.
And I honestly think it's, unless you have a pass rusher that says I'm only good coming from this side, then you're obviously not going to change them. But that's a big indictment on the defensive coordinator if they're going to say, we've got Von Miller, he can either go up against Mike McGlinchey or Trent Williams. Let's just keep him on Trent Williams all game and let him pretty much be contained. That's an issue for a defensive or for a defensive coordinator.
It has changed a little bit. I just went through Von in particular. Like 2019, he was on the left side 614 times and 192 on the right. The last 2 years, it's been 2-1 left to right. The Bills are moving him a little bit more, but you still, a win on the left is just so much more valuable. And again, when you know that you have a great pass rusher, you put him where it's most valuable to win, because Von is going to beat whoever you line him up across from. It doesn't matter who it is. You just put him in situation, get back there.
No, because I would say left tackles are typically better than right tackles. So if you're going to be smart, and I'd be curious to look at a guy that's not been in the league for 10 years now, who hasn't kind of established himself, and he can call the shots. He can be where he wants. I don't know. Just look at someone else. I would think that it's evened out a little bit more. If you want to make the case that left tackle is a little bit more valuable, that's fine. That's totally fair. I just don't think it's as big of a gap as you think.
Like, I just went to Max Crosby, 836 on the left side. Oh, plus 171 at outside linebacker, then 35 total on the right side last year. Like,
okay,
you do
but
still
you're taking a sample size of 2 right now.
Definitely, but we can keep going too.
But isn't
Nick Bosa?
If they're lining up on the left, isn't that technically against the right tackle?
I'm pretty sure that is on that left side.
It could be.
Let's see.
Because
Bosa's 537 to 312.
That's closer.
Yeah, Parsons they move around, but we can check.
It doesn't really matter that much into this conversation.
No, because if you're talking about left,
right.
If you're talking about left corner, where Pat Surtain is usually playing,
talking about the right side of the offense,
and the left side of the defense. So I think that's saying that they were lining up on the other side.
Wow, I'll take my victory lap now.
Wow.
That is interesting, though, yeah.
When, if you think of, Von's strip sack in Super Bowl 50, didn't he come off the right side of the line there?
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Because he grabbed it right from Cam's hands.
Right,
because
he's
he
standing
was
and he just
forward.
ripped it from him.
Yeah.
Maybe it is dodging. I do know all the good pass rushers are left ends and left outside linebackers, but maybe
if that's the case, then it's definitely the left side.
Right, they're
of the
just
line.
taking the better matchup for them.
Right.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. But there is a massive difference, though, is the point. But I guess on that side,
Then
you
the
expect
massive
help,
difference
though.
would be the right side.
But no, because right side you have the tackle or the tight end who helps. So that's where you have the tight end lineup.
He's just trying to discredit right
But
tackle however he can.
No, because it's not as important.
Well,
because you're getting the chips.
I've been saying for a long time that I think right tackle has increased in value every year, and I think you pretty much have to have 2 great ones now. Obviously, if your left tackle is getting smoked and your quarterback is getting speared in the back all game,
Right.
then you've got a big problem.
Right.
But because of the matchups that those guys are drawing, was it Donald Stevenson who was hurt and then he got healthy, came back for one play and got Trevor Siemian destroyed by Joey Bosa?
Yep. He literally played one play.
Yeah, I was glad you're back.
Yeah.
A lot of the times those right tackles are drawing the tougher matchups, but it's easier for the quarterback to save them.
Sure.
If they get beat because they can see that guy.
Yeah. I think what we can agree on is tackle a little more difficult to play than guard, but I think for this conversation, that doesn't diminish how good Quentin Nelson is. So we are taking it as, I don't want to put too much position importance on this.
Who had the highest seed in our tournament? Bolles?
Oh, that's a good question. Do we have the here, can you look into that?
I can't remember.
Let's see. Quinn was 9. Bolles was 10. Ben Powers was 7. And McGlinchey was 11. So, it was Ben Powers.
Wow.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That is
And that's actually, I know I said that McGlinchey is the most consistent of all of these guys, and that's something he has going. My argument would be for Ben Powers, just because he's coming off an elite season. So I think he is the Broncos' best offensive lineman right now. But as Henry was saying, you can make the case for some other guys to overtake him because none of these guys are Trent Williams. None of these guys are a consistent Pro Bowler, consistent All-Pro. But right now, Ben Powers was elite last year. He hasn't proven anything to show that he's come off that. So I'm going to say he's the Broncos' best offensive lineman.
I hate to go against our rankings so strongly or against our seeding so strongly.
Well, see, what's fun about that is we all had to come up with that together.
That's
so we,
true.
And we
That's
clearly
true.
all
We had
had
to vote.
different inputs.
The more I think about this, the more that I think the single most valuable thing that an offensive lineman can bring to the table is consistency. And if you can count on a guy, you can just call a game so much differently than if you're just worrying on a play-to-play basis. Are we getting good so-and-so or bad so-and-so on this
You almost
play?
said a name.
I did. And so I think I'm going to go McGlinchey here.
That's fair.
I just know what I'm getting from him. That is so valuable for me on the offensive line.
That's very fair. That's very fair. Henry?
It's still Bolles.
It's Bolles.
It's
Okay.
Bolles to me. I
Three
mean,
different choices. I think that's a good thing.
It hopefully.
Could be a good thing or it could be a bad
Hopefully.
thing.
Well, we know they don't have any superstars, right?
Right.
And so that is kind of how, like, you'd love to have that. Once you don't,
Yeah.
it's up for debate. It's like the Nuggets who won, 56 games?
Yeah.
And it was like Gallo and Ty Lawson. And, you're going through and it's like, well, they don't really have a superstar. Like, you could choose 3 or 4 different guys that you think are the best or your favorite player on the team.
Yep. It's very true. And let's get into our rankings. I'm curious if we all have the same top 3 now that we have different number ones. But first, got to tell you about our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Final 4 this weekend. Let me guess. You guys are going with San Diego State and
Wrong.
Florida.
That's the other way around.
San Diego State. Oh, you're right. Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, you're one with Miami
Yep.
and Florida Atlantic.
Yep.
Yep.
All I know
because-
is I hit the pluses Sunday night.
Yep. Exactly.
And I can't remember who I have.
I think I'm gonna go.
We've gone opposite strategies there on the same strategy.
Yeah.
I wait until the last second before the game.
Yeah.
I am so stupid for not doing yours. Your
Everyone
way.
is.
It's crazy.
It's okay.
Yeah,
It's not just you.
no, but I'm gonna admit it. Very stupid for not doing that. So I'm just gonna go again one more time against you guys. Kind of. My bet this weekend is exact matchup of how the final game ends. I'm gonna go UConn over FAU.
Oh,
I think it's
okay,
like
so we
plus,
get one
plus
of our
280. So yeah, you get FAU tomorrow. We'll see. Maybe I'm just stupid.
FAU got to be like one of the most slept on teams ever.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
they proved that. Like, what are they, 34 and
Yep.
3 or something coming in?
They already have the most wins of any college basketball team ever in a
Wow.
single season. 30. I
Weird.
think once they hit 34 was it.
That's crazy.
I think they're going to lose.
Oh, but you're not betting it.
No.
They're the dog.
No, I've committed to the strategy. I was thinking yesterday, it was at like 1 o'clock. It was right after we got done with the podcast. I was thinking, why didn't we bet every dog for the first day of baseball? Because it's going to be the same thing where like all the good teams are overrated.
No,
like,
but everyone's putting their ace out there.
That's true.
That's what I would have said yesterday. I don't know if there were a bunch of upsets.
yeah, I don't know
What
what,
were
happened.
the Rockies? Did you take them?
No, I'm a little too invested in the Rockies already. I don't need any individual game bets at this point.
I did. I put 2 units on the 11.5. So I was like, that's my Rockies bet for the month.
On the
Oh,
April.
yeah.
Because now I'm invested in every
yep,
game.
Yep. And if you want to get on these bets, go to DraftKings Sportsbook. Use that promo code DNVR when you sign up. And if you place a $5 bet, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets. So you want to use bonus bets to win money this weekend or on the Rockies, you can do that. $200. Use that promo code DNVR. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700.
And if you want to watch the Nuggets or the Avalanche, you can head on over to Fubo because they have altitude. It's tough to find altitude in Denver, but Fubo has altitude and it's super convenient. You know, you can stream live TV to any device. I watch on my computer. Sometimes I'll go to a sports bar that isn't the DNVR bar. It's very rare, but
Wow.
I know. I'm not going to say any names, but you get in there and say like, hey, can you turn the Nuggets game on? Because, you know, they're on national TV and we're in Denver. And they'll say, yeah, I think we can probably do that. Let me check with my manager. And you're like, oh, okay. Wow. And you get there 20 minutes before tip off. And at the end of the first quarter, they finally flip one over and it's the other side of the room. And it's like, But so in those situations, having Fubo on your phone is really convenient. It also really puts the pressure on the waitress when she sees you just watching on your phone. Fubo's awesome. You can stream everywhere. There's 1,000 hours of cloud DVR.
There's nothing I hate more than having to ask someone to change a channel at a restaurant.
Especially
here.
for local games.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
when it's something that should be on.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like one of the founding principles of the DNVR bar.
Like exactly. Like if it's like, oh, there's like a random like cornhole thing. It's like, oh, cornhole day. I'm a big cornhole player. Turn on the cornhole, and they're like, like it makes sense to have to ask for that. For the Nuggets here, it's insane.
Yeah. Even I was at a place last Sunday, and I had to ask for them to put on March Madness.
Wow. That's crazy.
They just had the NBA League Pass and game end screen on, like 7 TVs.
No.
Wow.
Oh, no.
I was like, can
brutal.
you just like put maybe one of those
Just
on
a
March
game?
Madness?
Yeah.
I just don't understand how sports bars aren't better about that. But again, if you have a phone and you have Fubo, you can just watch whatever you want to watch anyway. There's a 7-day free trial, whole bunch of perks. So if you want to watch Altitude, then get Fubo TV. Use the link in the description of the YouTube video. They'll scan the little code there, or in the podcast feed, you'll get 15% off.
All right, well, let's rank these guys 1
Yep.
through 5. We already all have our 1 in there. So, yeah, here I went with Ben Powers. Ryan went with Mike McGlinchey.
Oh, we're each
Yeah.
getting our own ranking.
And
Yeah.
Henry went with
Bolles.
Garett Bolles. Who are you going with number 2?
See, the thing is, I'm thinking ahead to number 4, and none of them deserve to be number 4. Like, there's cases for all these guys. And sneaky, these last, I don't know. Give me Powers. Powers feels safe. I think Powers feels safe.
13 million, he better be safe.
Exactly. Like, he didn't get called for penalties, and that's kind of the knock on Bolles, which is crazy because, like, you look at 2020 and 2021.
What is going on?
It's
this
cool.
graph?
It's cool. There's a photo of the player
Yeah.
under him. But since we're far away from the screen, it looks like maybe some like coloring.
It looks like a
book.
candy wrapper.
It does. It's cool for the viewers.
All right, cool.
2020 and 2021, Garett Bolles combined got called for 10 penalties for 80 yards. McGlinchey got called for 9 for 80 yards. Bolles played 29 games. McGlinchey played 24. Like, the penalty thing, the penalties did flare up more for Bolles than McGlinchey this season. Like, he was on pace to double him.
Yikes.
But
You are, to be fair though, you're taking Garett Bolles' best season and combining it with another season.
Yeah.
If you were to average all of Bolles' seasons out,
True.
I would think it would be quite a bit higher.
But there also his 2 most recent full seasons. And so that's why I think that that's kind of more the direction we're going. But who knows? I'm taking
what was Bolles in 2020 individually, and then 2021 in terms of penalties?
2020 was 4 for 30
Because that was his best year by far.
Yep, Bolles was 6 for 50 in 2021, and just for reference, it was 4 for 40 for McGlinchey, then 5 for 40,
Okay.
then 8 for 55 last year. Bolles had 5 for 40 in like 5 games or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
So they're flaring
yeah.
back up again. But yeah, that's why I think I go Bolles number 1. I think Powers number 2. Penalties have not been an issue of his. He can pass protect. He's strong enough to get pushed in the run game. I don't know. None of these guys deserve to be number 4. Any
Okay.
one of them could be number 1.
Okay. According to SIS, maybe you have Pro Football's numbers up, but SIS, Garett Bolles was the Broncos' second worst offensive lineman last year, and it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
He was the 65th best offensive lineman out of 80 that they have for this. Lloyd Cushenberry was 35th out of 40 centers, so Lloyd was even worse.
Who was the 60th?
65th was Bolles.
5 penalties in 5 games.
Yeah. And
Yep.
obviously small sample size, who knows if that hurt him, helped him in that. But so for me, for my number 2, I think it's newcomers are in their category at top, and then the guys that have been here, the holdovers. And so I think that
Doing
puts
the old 100-point scale. Haven't lost any points because they haven't done anything wrong to the Broncos yet.
It's very true, but also kind of what I said and then what you said about McGlinchey, just consistent. You know what you're going to get. Probably not elite play, but you're going to get top half of the league play at right tackle. And boy, what a relief. And honestly, if Garett Bolles is a top half of the league left tackle, I would take that. If you said Garett Bolles is going to be the 14th best tackle in the NFL this year, I would take it right now. So I'm taking that with McGlinchey. And McGlinchey, I don't just have to take it. I pretty much know you're going to get that because that's what he's been. So I think that's why I'm putting him at 2. And those two are in a category of their own.
Where did you have, or where's Fleming on that list? If you don't mind checking.
Yeah, I'll check
curious.
right now.
Yeah.
Ryan, who are you going with to?
This is tough. I am going to go with Quinn Meinerz at 2.
You have Quinn higher than Henry. I'm surprised. I thought Henry was going to be the highest on Quinn.
I love
It's
Quinn.
tough.
He is a beast. He can he kind of showed last year that he can do everything.
Yep.
He can get out and pull block with the best of them, I think. He can pass block, and he can do that, zone blocking scheme that they tried to get going last year. I thought he was doing really well in that. So for me, again, consistency. I don't really worry about Quinn on a play-to-play basis. So I think for me, I'm going Quinn.
And I think that's a very good argument. I'm just going to piggyback off of you right here. I'm going to step in and put Quinn third right here. I think Quinn is the best offensive lineman that the Broncos had last year. And the biggest knock against him, well, I think there's kind of two. One, he hasn't done it for that long, so you don't feel like he's incredible yet. And then the second thing is, how does he work in this new system? Which is kind of a question, but I just like Quinn's trajectory. He obviously has the mean nasty to him, and the highlights are incredible, and there's not that many lowlights, so I like Quinn being third. And Henry, really quick to answer your question about Cameron Fleming. Cameron Fleming, the 21st out of 80 last year, which would have been the second best among these Broncos 5 starting linemen, only behind Ben Powers. Cameron Fleming came in and did a really good job last year.
Yeah, and that's what, it's crazy he's still out there. It's not crazy that he's not getting a massive deal, but it's pretty crazy to me that nobody said, "Hey, we'll give you $5 million to come in and compete for a job."
That's true, for $5 million for 1 year or something. My guess is just consistency with him.
Yeah, for sure.
Last year was an anomaly.
Yeah, but if the Broncos, in terms of a backup tackle, Cam would probably be one of the best in the league. And when you've invested so much in the offensive line, a little insurance wouldn't be a bad idea.
I agree. Sean in the comments is saying that Bolles is top 2 in the entire league. It's not true, but I'm happy that Bolles has stands like that.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Also, it's damn near a tornado outside right now. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
It
is really
blown
crazy.
away.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put some sand in your pockets or something when you walk out of here.
I still don't totally understand wind. That's one of those that
I don't understand wind.
you just kind of well, I get that it's air that's moving, but why does it happen? I know it's heat goes up and
I don't get so many things with the earth. So
Sometimes
I'm
it's
kind
best
of
to
there
just
with
not
you.
ask questions, but I do hate wind. It's my least favorite
yeah.
element.
It's true.
I'm gonna clip this and tag Harrison Wind.
There you go.
Wow. If
All
he
right.
doesn't know how wind works, that'd
Henry,
be
who
messed
you
up.
got third?
Again, none of these guys deserve to be outside of a top 2, but I think I've got to go Quinn here.
Okay.
I think. So what? The flaw last year was the pass protection, which got better than the year before, but he also. He'd never played out a 2-point stance before. Again, he's coming from D3 football, and the fact that he improved so much, he gave up 3 sacks, 2 in week 8, 1 in week 12. Again, those are both in the first half of his season because of injuries. He did get better throughout the season, and so I'm willing to say that that's who he is now, and I also think he's going to get even better than that. But the fact that he never just lined up out of shotgun, started in a 2-point stance, and blocked somebody, of course it was going to take some time. And so that was my one hesitation. Because he can do that, we know he's an awesome run blocker. I'll put him 3, and I feel like I'm really doing Mike McGlinchey dirty.
I know it's kind of weird. Whoever you put fourth feels wrong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It feels wrong.
Ryan, who's your 3?
Ben Powers.
'Cause I disagree. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going Ben Powers here.
Ben Powers. Damn, if he's your third best, that's great.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. It's just, again, consistency. I feel like Quinn has been consistently good since he came in. Powers down, up last year, and that's going to be the same for my 4. I'll just go right into my 4, which is Garett Bolles. If this was a conversation of who has the chance to be the best offensive lineman on the team, you might have to put Garett number 1. But I can't trust Garett. So for me, I have to drop him down because the floor has been too scary for me to think about the ceiling as much. And as we know, like, it might, whether it's fair or not, as an offensive lineman, you only get minus points. And he's racked up a lot of minus points over the years. So it scares me that it was ugly last year before he got hurt.
Yeah, the wind is not like you putting Garett Bolles at 4. It just picked up when you said that.
I'm
you're
the
not
only one
kidding
who can
about
see
a
this, but
tornado.
there's a street sign out there that's just going like this.
Oh my goodness.
They can't see it, but they can hear it. 'Cause
Yeah.
I can hear the wind in
Oh
my
yeah,
headphones.
yeah. It is
It's
loud.
the first time
now.
that's ever happened, I think.
And I'm putting Garett Bolles at 4, and I don't feel like guilty about this, like Henry does about the number 4 spot. And the reason you said it, Ryan, and I agree with you about Garett Bolles could be up there with the most talented. He could be number 1 if you want to make that case, but just inconsistencies. One really good season. Other than that, he does too many things that hurt the team, and the team isn't able to overcome him, and he's not able to overcome him. You see too many times where he just stacks bad plays on top of each other, and from an offensive lineman, man, you just can't have that. So the talent is there, the upside is certainly there, but the consistency or lack thereof is what puts him at 4.
Yeah, I will say to his credit, he has matured off of the personal fouls, which is nice.
Yeah.
Because that was the other thing when he was young. Is it was like, okay, he's getting these holding penalties, he's getting beat sometimes, and then he gets so frustrated and like guys get under his skin so easily that he'll draw a personal foul. It feels like he's moved past that stage of his career. Again, if he were to have a season like he did in 2020 this year, he would be number 1 with a bullet. But the inconsistencies are scary.
Yep. And then, Henry, we already know you're 4.
Yep.
But why do you hate Mike McGlinchey?
I don't hate Mike McGlinchey.
kidding.
It's just that, again, he doesn't deserve to be number 4, but he is pretty one-dimensional. I mean, he's a really good run blocker, and in pass protection, you expect a couple mistakes a game. Like, you just do. He's also coming off one of his not-so-good seasons last year. Part of that is because he didn't have an off season, because the year before he had the terrible leg injury. And so there is reason to think that he can be better this year than last year. Again, you don't need him to be better. Like, if he is your 4th offensive lineman and he is what he was last year, that's great. If he's your 2nd best lineman, he is what he is last year, you're like, we've got chance to be a good line. We should be a solid line. But you are hoping for a little bit of improvement this offseason, but I don't know. There's going to be plenty of plays where he gets out in space and he's taking out linebackers and he's taking out safeties, and you look at him and say, like, oh my goodness, what a freak athlete. There's also just too many in pass protection where guys get by him.
I usually don't. I don't know. I've heard this enough times now that I have to bring it up. Apparently, Mike McGlinchey is like an elite locker room guy.
Yes.
People just adore the guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like anyone that has ever crossed paths with him that I've talked to has taken the chance to tell me what an awesome dude he is, and said we should have him on this show. So we'll try.
Yeah, we definitely will. And as Peyton Manning, I'm honored that Peyton Manning thinks my list is the best by far, which I appreciate. But what I'm going to say is, if Hank's list turns out to be true, I think that's best case scenario for the Broncos, with Garett Bolles being number 1 and Mike McGlinchey being 4, because we know what Mike McGlinchey's floor is. And if that means if Ben Powers, Quinn Meinerz are better than that, better than just above, or better than, right around above average, and then Garett Bolles is top, that means Garett Bolles is elite. I would like that a lot. And then obviously we have Lloyd Cushenberry at 5. We don't have to dog on him. The fact that Sean Payton had to answer the question of if Lloyd Cushenberry is a starter, that says it all right there. This week he had to answer that question, said he believes he's a starter at center for the Broncos. He didn't have to do that with Garett Bolles. He didn't have to do that with Quinn Meinerz. He didn't have to do that with Michael McGlinchey. And obviously he didn't have to do that with Ben Powers. I don't think anyone disagrees with that.
Yeah. I wish there was a Cush stan in the comments like there's a Bulls stan. But sadly, he just hasn't done enough to earn that yet. I still believe they're going to look to replace him.
I was going to say, and that's exactly what I was going to say. I don't know if anyone truly believes that one of the third round picks isn't going to be a center.
Or, the other side is at least get somebody to compete with him. Because he does have one strength. He doesn't let guys by him in pass protection. That is the one thing he does really well. Now he can't get
He's also usually blocking the least capable pass rusher.
Yeah, and gave up 9 pressures this year. 5 of them were against the Jets. Quinn and Williams.
Yeah.
So again, like there are plenty of flaws in his game. What you hope for is just a little bit more of an anchor. Like you just want him to be able to hold his ground. If he could stop getting pushed back a couple of steps, then all of a sudden you're saying he's a really good pass protecting center. Getting anything going in the running game is going to be tough at this point, just because he is 25, and it feels like we've probably seen about what he is. But giving him guys who are super strong on both sides, it's not going to hurt him. And I think that if he is the starting center next year, he's not going to be holding you back. I'm not concerned about Lloyd Cushenberry just because, again, he gets knocked back a little bit. He isn't a huge plus in the run game. You've got a lot of pluses in the running game. You've got 4 of them. That's what all 4 of those guys, I think, are probably best at, with Ben Powers being the one you maybe don't know about. But with Cush, I mean, if he can just hold his ground and not get pushed back, he'll be fine. He'll be good enough.
You know what? March Madness is the 3rd best thing to happen in March. You know what is ahead of it?
What?
I'm curious to hear.
Ryan, your birthday.
Oh, thank you.
And also
I would
up there,
actually take March Madness over my birthday now that I'm 31.
Okay,
Wow.
well, I just want to be nice to you.
Thank
I
you,
would
thank
as
you.
well. And also, Illegal Pete's. They're celebrating March by giving $1 for every vodka press sold to Youth on Record, which helps young future musicians, which is really cool. And Illegal Pete's is just so delicious. Not only their food, but their drinks as well. The best marg out there is an Illegal Pete's marg, and don't be fooled. It is so potent as well.
Yes.
Great prices. Illegal Pete's is the place to be, especially with summer coming. Illegal Pete's always has the best patios, regardless of which location you go to. They're all so nice. And Illegal Pete's, you just got to check them out. Try their margaritas. They're the presenting sponsor of the DNVR Nuggets Stadium Takeovers. They're the best food out there. So check them out. This weekend will be a great time. Go to Illegal Pete's and get some margs and some queso.
And also, make sure that you check out our friends over at Breckenridge Brewery, because they have a whole bunch of really good beers. Some of us are marg people. Some of us are beer people. If you're beer people, then there's definitely nothing better than Breckenridge Brewery. They have the Avalanche Amber Ale. They have the Vanilla Porter Jr. Those are going to be the 2 go-tos, I think, this playoff run for me, whether it's an Avs night or a Nuggets night. And it's just awesome. Oh, they also have that Nuggets beer now. I forgot about that one. Mm-hmm. Which, honestly, I'm happy that we have that instead of the Michael Porter or the Vanilla Porter Jr. for these summer games. But so many good beers. You can find any of them near you if you go to breckbrew.com and look for their beer locator. They're in more than 30 states, so even if you're out of town, they probably have the beers that you're looking for. Again, go to breckbrew.com to find a beer near you.
Really quick, according to the SIS information, and Garett only played in 5 games, so limited sample size, he was the 2nd worst run blocker among their 80 eligible offensive linemen, which I believe includes tackles and guards.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. 2nd worst. Now,
Yikes.
again, small sample size.
Yeah.
For his career, he is much better than that. But
I guess
Ryan,
they weren't
you kind
running
of
the
pointed
ball
to how
well.
it was concerning last year, the way he played before he got injured, and that's one thing that points to it.
Yeah, it was actually really concerning. And it's kind of crazy because it's easy to forget about now. I'm just trying to find a stat here. I don't know if you've noticed that I've been a little distracted.
Oh, something good?
Well, I want to discuss a conversation we had yesterday because I'm willing to back off my take a little bit. So I've reflected on what should define an all-time great.
Okay.
And I think that it has to be quantifiable in a way. And the way that I was discussing it just wasn't defined enough.
Right.
So then I thought to myself, maybe an all-time great is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I like that. I like that a lot.
But I'm trying to find out how many actual first ballot Hall of Famers there are. All I can find is this thing that says, since then, there have been 84 first ballot Hall of Famers. So I don't know
since when?
what is.
No way.
I tried to scroll through the article, but I can't find where it says since then.
You would feel like this would actually be a pretty quantifiable stat.
Yeah.
Speaking of quantifiable
I know. I
things.
Googled how many
Yeah.
NFL first ballot Hall of Famers are there.
Yeah.
And there's just no easy answer to this.
How many Hall of Famers are there?
That's another thing that I don't know if there's a quick Googleable situation there.
That one should be.
Do you think they both should be? That seems like a very easy thing. But Ryan,
So someone just has to count the busts.
I do like your assessment of that. And it's kind of like how, when we've talked in the past, how should the Broncos retire numbers? Should they retire numbers? Should they not? Obviously, they have 3 retired numbers. And one of the things that we've, I think, all agreed on is, well, just go with first ballot Hall of Famers. And it's easy. It's not something that you have to decide between. It's just very easy. And this fits that.
All right. So this article is about how there shouldn't be an added shine on first ballot Hall of Famers. But in the article it says, to illustrate how out of whack things have become, the Hall began recognizing the existence of first ballot Hall of Famers in 1970, 7 years after it opened. Okay. This was primarily the result of the fact that in the early years, the Hall was playing catch-up on nearly 40 years of the game's history.
Oh.
In addition, the original class of inductees in 1963 were all first ballot because it was the first ballot.
Right.
So 1970 has been designated as the point where this began. Since then, there have been 84 first ballot Hall of Famers, excluding the upcoming class. Since the year 2000, 36 players have been inducted first ballot, which is 40% of all first ballot Hall of Famers in the past 51 years. So basically what they're saying is it's become a lot more likely over time to become a first ballot Hall of Famer. That being said, 84, that feels like a nice group of the all-time greats.
I agree.
It's like the top, not actually working out this way, but like the top 4 at each position.
Yeah, I totally agree.
These are the most recent. We can test to see if they're all-time greats. This year, Joe Thomas and Darrelle Revis.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Charles Woodson, Peyton Manning, Calvin Johnson in 2021.
That's a much stronger first ballot class.
2020, Troy Polamalu.
Yep.
2019, Ed Reed, Tony Gonzalez, Champ Bailey.
Yep.
2018, Ray Lewis, Brian Urlacher, Randy Moss.
Yep.
2017, LaDainian Tomlinson, Jason Taylor.
Yep.
2016,
Closer,
Brett Favre.
Oh, I'm not a Favre guy.
Quarterbacks get so much more love in these situations.
They do.
They do.
I would say the all-time great list of quarterbacks does not include Brett Favre, but that's because I would make mine smaller than probably the average
Also,
person.
I agree.
Doesn't the all-time great list isn't kind of irrelevant if it's just first ballot Hall of Famers? That's just the first ballot Hall of Famer list.
But it's a good way to say, like, if you're an all-time great, you should be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I totally agree. And I think if you look at it from a Broncos standpoint, there's only been 2 first ballot Hall of Famers. Well, 3. You have John, you have Peyton, and you have Champ.
I think Darrelle Revis is an example of what this article is about. How it's too easy to become a first ballot Hall of Famer now.
Wow.
Man, just because he was kind of around Champ, I always pulled Darrelle Revis down in my book a little bit. But the national perspective was certainly that he was a first ballot all-time great.
It felt like his burst was short, but
I agree with that. I agree with that.
I don't know how long his prime was.
Yeah, I agree.
It felt like Champ just came in,
Yep.
dominated every year until like his last year and then left.
It feels like that's exactly what Pat's going to be like, Pat Surtain.
Yep.
Revis had 4 first-team All-Pros.
That's actually what I was going to guess, a 4-year.
First in 2009, last in 2014.
But were 3 of them back to back to back?
Yeah.
And then you had a gap in 2014.
Yep. So 2009, 2010, 2011. Then he only played 2 games in 2012. Came back in 2013, moved in Tampa. Didn't get it, but he was a Pro Bowler. 2014, he's a first-team All-Pro again.
Yeah, see, I couldn't stand Darrelle because Champ was so good, and then Darrelle enters the league, and then, you have Revis Island, and
Branding.
it totally...
Yeah. It was awful.
But it pissed me off being a Broncos fan.
me
I was
too.
like, no. Champ's been doing it for so much longer, and he's still doing it as good. Obviously, Darrelle didn't do it for longer because Champ's career just started, so Revis was in the news a little bit more recently.
It's so fun. Yeah, branding is everything. It's like prime time.
Yep. Oh, my goodness. Yes, it is.
All right. Well, I'm glad I have that off my chest.
Speaking of...
So really, just to tie a bow on this, J.J. Watt, first ballot Hall of Famer?
Easy. Yeah.
Agree.
Probably.
By a mile.
Wow, welcome. By the way, it was awesome to have so many polls on yesterday's pod, and then we flipped those on Twitter. Really fun to have on Twitter as well. And Ryan, we kind of split the difference on a couple of polls.
I just realized there's one flaw in the thinking there is like first ballot Hall of Fame is also dependent on the strength of your class.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I think true first ballot Hall of Famers don't have an issue with that.
Yeah, I wonder who's like the best second ballot Hall of Famer of all time.
Devin
Wait,
Hester. I mean, he will be.
No, he didn't get it. Did he?
I think this year would have been first ballot, right?
I think this is the second year in a row he didn't get it.
This might be way too Broncos biased here, but Shannon Sharp was not a first ballot Hall of Famer. He very much deserved to be. I think he might have even been second ballot
He's
or
definitely
third.
an all-time great.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
exactly.
a weird one now
We're gonna have
because
to create a committee to determine if non-first ballot Hall of Famers get for all-time.
Maybe
great
there's
status.
because what are the positions that have traditionally and historically been harder to do? Tight end, safety. Safety is now really coming around, but tight end was one of them, and I think probably maybe is still one of them where it's difficult to get in.
it's so weird with Shannon Sharp now because the tight ends have gone through like a whole nother phase where it's like, oh, now all of a sudden you've got Gronk and
Travis
there was like the
Kelce.
era in between with like Tony Gonzalez and those guys, the Chargers guy.
Antonio Gates.
Yeah, that loser. But then you have like
He knew Antonio Gates' name right away, though. Did you pick that up?
wow, you're trying to
He
trap
knew
me.
Tony
Oh,
Gonzalez.
Tony
Trying to
Gonzalez.
trap
Yeah,
me.
not Antonio Gates.
But yeah, I mean, like now you've got like this whole like Kelsey, Kittle, Gronk,
Yeah.
and maybe that's it. But with this whole new era, especially with that one that was kind of in between and Sharp way back there, like Shannon Sharp, not to disparage him, he does feel like an old school, like he's not like a flat screen TV. You know,
if I would say if you put Shannon Sharp in today's NFL, he'd be the best tight end in the league.
He would ball.
oh
Yeah.
no, he'd be sick. But again, like now you've got all these guys who can block too
Yeah, I mean he could block too.
and put up insane numbers. I mean, but not like this current group of great tight ends. Again, Shannon Sharp,
Man.
awesome, like revolutionary. Nobody had ever done anything close to what he'd done. But now, like that's like the iPhone 1, and now you're looking at like these iPhone 15s or whatever. And it's like,
Ooh, I disagree
oh,
with
shit.
you on that one.
I
Really?
think
disagree
there's
at
a
this
lot of players in the 80s, 90s, obviously 70s. You put them in today's game, they were great when they played. You put them in today's game, and they're just average. I think Shannon would fit in a heartbeat.
No, he'd be great in today's NFL. But you have those guys who also block.
But you're
Shannon
saying
can
that as
block.
if he didn't block.
Just not at like a Gronk, Kittle, Kelsey level. Like
I
those
mean,
guys are the
Gronk
best.
is like one of a kind
Yeah.
because he was so big.
Yeah. Shannon was like unbelievably. I think Shannon would be fine as a blocker.
yeah,
Like I think
he'd be fine.
I think in today's NFL, Elway and Shannon Sharp would be viewed on the exact same tier as Mahomes and Kelsey.
Man, wouldn't that be fun to have them? Oh, could you
Yeah.
imagine Mahomes and Kelsey going up against Elway and Sharp for like 15 years?
Yeah, I mean, people would be talking like.
Would
about
both
this.
games be primetime every single year?
Should.
You'd have a Sunday night and you'd have a Monday night, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Man, that would be fun.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, because I guess it really is just Kelsey who's putting up like the 1,400-yard seasons, and Shannon Sharp probably would get to that level.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too.
I definitely think so.
And I guess there is like a receiving gap there too, because like I wonder what Kittle had this year. It had to be like, did he
I
have
think-
1,000?
I think Kittle's been way more
Yeah,
inconsistent.
see like 765,
Yeah.
910,
hurt.
634.
Yeah.
He did have the 1377 2018.
Yeah.
But no, so Sharp
Sheesh.
receiving wise, I don't know.
What's
That, you'd be way up at the top with Kelsey, and those would be the only two.
What's the Falcons tight end done since he's been in the
Pitts?
league? Yeah, being a top 5, number 4 pick, right?
Yeah.
The highest ever
Not what you would
drafted.
hope. Not what you would hope.
I wonder if it's him or if it's the quarterback. What's he done, Hank?
356 yards this year, played 10 games. He had 1,000 as a rookie, but
He had 1,000
Oh,
as
shit.
rookie.
All
Okay,
right.
yeah, that's really good.
He was a
Obviously,
Pro
last
Bowler.
year disappointing. Maybe when they get Lamar Jackson, they'll use Kyle Pitts a lot more. Okay, so let's jump into some March Madness. Unless you guys have any final thoughts. Was someone attacking
Someone
you?
said he was
No.
recognized for blocking, which
he's not
Definitely.
recognized for it.
like he was recognized for being a great tight end, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
would say he was a better pass catcher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was a good blocker. I mean,
Yeah, I
at
thought
the
so.
very least.
I thought so.
There were hits.
You make me question it though. Henry,
I know.
but I thought
Maybe
he was
I'm
good.
wrong.
I mean, his strength alone
Yeah.
was just enough for him to hold up in those situations.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
Wow,
I
Jose
never watched
coming
him
in
play.
hard.
Yeah.
All right, let's dive into some Broncos March Madness. We're continuing the madness here with the Elite Eight. let's break down these 4 matchups, see how we think they're going to play out. Here, do we have the updated version of this bracket? Thank you. There we go. Any upsets here? We got number 1, Pat Surtain going up against number 9, number 8, DJ Jones. Let us know in the comment section who you guys think is going to win this, and we're also going to put these polls out on Twitter over at DNVR _Broncos.
Yeah, no shot. This actually might be more lopsided than the first Surtain matchup.
That's okay. I was going to give DJ Jones under 3% of the vote. Under, because Cortland got 1.5%, I think.
Yeah.
Under.
Yeah. No shot.
Yeah. I agree with you that I think Sutton's name would be able to put up more of a fight than DJ.
I think so too. Mm-hmm. All right, Jeudy.
Number 4 seed.
And Patrick.
Number 12 seed.
The
wide receivers against each other.
This is upset alert. I don't know if it's going to happen, but Judy's on alert.
Tim Patrick was we didn't do this unintentionally, was the perfect 12 seed to fit in with March Madness.
He really is. He has big 12 seed energy. Just don't sleep on him. Gonna surprise you if you do. I think he's got a real shot here.
Man, and especially last year, he gets the benefit of the doubt, and the benefit of the doubt can do wonders.
Yep.
I think Jerry pulls it off, but this is gonna be a close one. It's gonna be a real close one.
Yeah, I think it's Jerry.
I think that's the only one that I think could be an upset here.
Okay, because in the next matchup, we got number 2, Justin Simmons going up against number 7, Ben Powers. Ben Powers, what he has going up against it, or going for him, the second highest paid free agent, an offensive lineman, little more difficult to kind of gauge on how good they are. So maybe he gets more of a benefit of a doubt.
The Denver Broncos organization has done Ben Powers a great disservice in this this battle, because he hasn't had a chance to talk to the media yet. And if he had, he probably would have a quote that has everyone fired up. He might say I just like to go smash people in the mouth and watch them cry on the ground. Right. And then people will be like, oh my God, I think he's my new favorite player. But Broncos don't want to put these guys in front of the cameras. So for whatever reason, Ben Powers gets smoked here.
Over under 15% of the vote for Ben.
Slightly over, I'll say.
I'll say over. There's hype because he's new.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I would go over too.
Justin Simmons doesn't get the credit he deserves either. I think
in what sense?
There's a weird portion of Broncos fans. It's he's good, but I think there is those people are out there.
Yeah, there are.
There's a lot who think he's a fringe Pro Bowler, which is wrong. So I do think over 15%.
So then, do you think Javonte Williams or Mike McGlinchey Justin should be on upset alert for one of those guys in the next round?
I mean, it'll be Justin Simmons is a lock for number 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a very small portion.
Okay, fair. Well, and then that next matchup, we got number 3, Javonte Williams going up against surprise number 11, Mike McGlinchey. Had a couple upsets. Now, this is win healthy, I guess, for both of them. An upset here?
Nope. Javonte, obviously a baller. Highlights, all that stuff, but also gets the sympathy vote.
It's true. You're right. Yeah, you're very right. And then he also gets the benefit of Mike McGlinchey, because I think people are going to say, okay, for this year, he's going to be running behind a good line. And I don't think people view Mike McGlinchey and give him the benefit of the doubt that, he's going to have a good running back in Javonte Williams running behind him. I think just Javonte really gets that boost, not McGlinchey.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. No upset there. So then, I do agree that the guy with the biggest chance of an upset is Jerry Jeudy, with Tim Patrick potentially beating him.
Are you rooting for that just to avoid the chalk?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
To have a 12 seed in there.
Yeah, a 12 seed making the Final Four, it's a beautiful thing.
And speaking of quotes, Tim Patrick, when he talks, he delivers the quotes.
Also, though, doesn't that mean we were personally wrong by making him a 12 seed if that happens? Or is it fan favoriteness just outdoes how good you are?
I think that. Also, I think that people could convince themselves, and I could convince myself, that right now, Tim Patrick's a better receiver than Jerry Jeudy. But potential.
Can't convince me of that.
No, can't convince me.
I think, I agree. I think there are some people out there that would say that. I mean, Zach Stevens believed that.
Yeah, I know. I think it's actually one of the reasons Jerry Jeudy hasn't reached his potential yet.
It's fair. Not enough belief in him from coaches.
Yeah, I don't know. We've talked about it before, but when I was talking to a coach and I was like gushing about Jerry, and they were just like,
Yep.
and I was like, wow,
Yep.
are you sure about that? Like,
We talking about the same guy?
yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure he's super dope. And I'm excited to see if this wide receiver coach like says, oh my God, this guy's incredible.
Right.
Let's cook.
Right.
Yeah.
And before he even said that about Patrick over Jeudy, Jared in the comment section said Tim Patrick is a better football player than Jerry Jeudy. So,
What does that mean?
who is better right now? Maybe they think Tim's a better blocker as well.
It's not close enough for that to matter, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
I'm
that's
just
probably
trying
what
to-
he
I'm just-
means. Yeah.
But by saying football player.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, that's just I can't agree with that at
I'm-
all. And I love
that's
Tim.
not
I love Tim.
close. Exactly. I mean, like Tim, 2021, 734 yards. He had
But you
742 the year before.
But you would say that Tim was put in the third receiver position and still put up 700, 800 yards. That's the argument
700.
for Tim.
Yeah. I mean,
He doesn't have an 800-yard season?
no.
Okay.
Jerry, 856 as a rookie, 972 last year.
Yeah.
Had the injured year before.
But again, he was a 1 or a 2. Tim was a 3.
Yeah.
But there's a reason for that. It's because Jerry's better.
Or was it the... Yeah, I mean... I'm not going to make
So
too
let's
much
see.
of an argument against it.
Yeah.
I gotta say these numbers out loud so I don't forget. Tim was on the field 750 snaps 2020, 849 2021. Jerry was on the field 806 as a rookie, 713 last year. So in terms of playing time, it's pretty close.
Yeah. It's
But
very
how
true.
many are passes versus runs and all that, we don't know.
Sure. One thing we can all agree on, dial that 2 if you need help, whether you're in an automobile, bicycle, pedestrian, any sort of accident that causes some physical harm. If you need help, call our friends over at Backus and Shanker. It's 222-2222 to get the help you need. They have over 25 years of experience helping Colorado people. They have over 100 people working at their firm, so they are here for you. There's no fee while they work on your case. There's no upfront fee to speak with them. There's no fee unless they win your case, so there's no downside going to them and talking to them. And they've helped their clients win over $1 billion, and they have experience of going through these awful things themselves, so they know how to relate, not just win, but relate as well. It's a great combination. So check them out over at Backus and Shanker. If you need them, call 222-2222.
Boom.
Boom. All right, should we get into some questions? I know we've got a couple super chats.
See what the people. Jared said, if you had to rely on one guy to make a contested catch, who would you take? You would of course take Jerry, or you would of course take Tim.
Yep.
But that's zoning in on the one thing that he does best.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even know. Yeah. Well,
Also,
that's one thing that he for sure does better than Jerry.
Also, Tim is more reliable in terms of catching the ball. That may be where it stops.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to rely on someone to get open on a slant.
Yeah.
You know, like you
route
had to
running abilities,
rely on
ability
someone
to get open.
on a 9,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And then you also throw in like Tim's 29, Jerry's 23. If we're looking at who's going to be better this season, who's more likely to trend up? But that might be another step.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's how people would say that Tim is better right now, is saying
Yeah.
tomorrow. You want someone that you can rely on, not necessarily the upside. I think people would say, a decent amount of people would say Tim.
We'll see.
But if you say even week 16 of this year, with Jerry's ability to trend up, then it's more difficult.
Yep.
Also, Shannon Sharp went back, read what Mike Shanahan said about him, what Dan Reeves said about him.
Well, they were.
He was a sick blocker. He was a really sick blocker, which
Yeah.
I had no idea. What I knew was that he was 218 pounds coming out of college.
like 3,000 yard seasons in the 90s.
Yeah.
Which like
incredible.
era adjusted is like
Yeah.
probably 1,400
Oh,
yards.
For reference,
definitely.
Demarius Thomas was like 224 at the combine.
Yeah,
like he
but
was
also-
smaller than Demarius, and they just put on another 20 pounds. And he, like everybody said, like, yes, he is a sick blocker. And I just assumed that he was a receiver.
Different era, though. I would imagine that tight ends weren't 250 coming out of college back then. I don't think Shannon was like 35 pounds less than a normal tight end. My guess
I would have
is-
guessed
He
to go
was
the other
definitely
way.
undersized. And
Yeah, but
I
I
mean,
don't
then
think
you
it
had
was
like Dwayne Carswell,
undersized.
like who was
Exactly.
weighing like I think like 265.
Because that was like the generation before was like the Mike Ditka, like they're basically his offensive linemen.
Yeah.
And then
But
this
also
was the
back then,
beginning of
offensive
the.
linemen were 280.
That is true. Some of them, especially in Denver.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Shannon was just so strong that he could block and
Yeah.
he could pop people too.
He
Really
was
quick.
smaller than Demarius coming out.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
crazy. Speaking of Hall of Fame and things like that, this morning, the Broncos obviously making a huge push for Mike Shanahan to be in the Hall of Fame. If you've seen their social media this week, they're talking to everyone, all the national people, to try to get a lot of buzz. One, that's really smart to do. A big reason why Mike Shanahan, in my opinion, is not in the Hall of Fame is because the Broncos haven't been pushing him until this year. In fact, when did he become a Ring of Famer? Was it 2 years ago?
Yep.
So it's not like, I don't think there's been a lot of disrespect toward Mike Shanahan not being in a Hall of Fame when your own team doesn't put him in the Ring of Fame until 2 years ago. So I think if fans want to say, it's disrespectful that he's not in, that's fine. I don't really think the team can be making that argument right now, but I am happy to see them make a push for Mike right now.
Yeah, the Broncos have done a terrible job of highlighting Mike Shanahan's greatness over the years.
Yeah.
And there's theories as to why.
Yeah.
And I also wonder if like Sean Payton himself is a big Mike Shanahan fan. And was part of kind of just saying like, hey, we need to help him get in. Like I would guess they have a relationship.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Probably.
And Greg Penner said that he talked to Mike during the coaching search and got his advice, and I'm sure Mike spoke highly of Sean.
Yeah.
Also,
Mike Shanahan is like a revolutionary
Yeah.
when it comes to football right now. Obviously, he learned from Bill Walsh, but Mike Shanahan, go look at his staff in Washington.
It's insane. It's insane.
And look where they are now. Also, Gary Kubiak off the Mike Shanahan tree.
Yeah.
Like the coaches that he produced that are now influencing the entire league, which should be attributed to him, at least partly, with some of that credit going back to Bill Walsh, is unheard of.
4 head coaches were under him in Washington.
Yeah.
4 on the offensive side of the ball. It's not like they were defensive guys where he kind of got lucky they were on his staff. All offensive guys.
I mean, however many years it's been, 15 years from now, there's probably going to be a bunch of coaches off of some Andy Reid staff that are succeeding.
Yeah.
And we're going to look back and say, yeah, Andy Reid should absolutely be a Hall of Famer. 2 Super Bowls, hopefully no more.
Yep.
And he had this huge influence on the way that offense was called in the NFL.
Yeah.
And obviously everyone's going to go back. You can trace it back further and further and further and say, well, that influence came from this. But at a certain point, like, you have to get credit for the descendants that are straight off of your tree.
Yep. Plus the
And also,
offense
Andy
itself.
Reid coaches have not had a lot of success going away from there.
No, Matt Nagy. He's back because it didn't work out.
Yep.
He's either OC or QB coach. I think he's their OC now.
So Matt Nagy came back, worked under Eric Bieniemy. Then when Bieniemy left, he went back up to OC.
Yep, exactly. And that maybe he's going to be he's going to take over for Andy Reid whenever he retires. I don't know.
Please.
the crazy thing though is that Mike Shanahan's been retired for 10 years. That's when he stopped coaching. Like, it felt like it was more recent. Like, you understand not pushing for him when he's still doing things, but he didn't even have like these side roles where it's like, oh, I'm working with whoever on this. Like, he retired in 2013, has been done since then. It's like, that's plenty of time to start pushing him.
That's what I'm saying. This is on the Broncos for it being this long. Maybe if they didn't want to push him right in 2014 because he just worked with another team, okay. But in 2015, let's get on with it. And then on top of that, the Broncos were great. The Broncos are in the spotlight in 2015 more than ever. So you have this great platform to push him. And no, they didn't just wait to 2015, 2016, 2017. They waited to 2023 to push him. So I just don't think it's as much of this this terrible thing that he's not in, because it's the Broncos.
I said Dwayne Carswell was playing at 265 because that sounded like a really big tight end for me.
Even bigger.
He's playing at 290.
Oh my God, that is
The tight ends are
insane.
massive. Like, there's linemen. But yeah, I mean, I get not pushing him for a while, because if you say, oh, Mike Shanahan's in our Ring of Fame. Oh, and look, he came out of retirement 2 years later, and here he is leading a team into...
To me, that's dope.
No, that's not.
Your Ring of Fame coach is coaching someone?
I would wait. You want the guy to retire first.
Most teams do.
Yeah. And
I
I'd get a couple years off, but... Yeah, I mean, the fact that they haven't done it yet is
By the way,
insane.
did you know that Wade Phillips is coaching in the XFL?
Head
Did you know
coach of
that-
the best team, right?
Yeah, and he was in our mentions.
He
today.
was.
There we go. Yep. More notable.
Son of bum.
It felt. Did we? Oh, you wanted to catch us up on the polls?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, let me pull them up.
Pull
what were you,
them up.
What were you gonna say? Oh,
I
very
was just gonna say, how did those polls end up shaking out?
good. So we kind of split over some of these conversations. One of the polls, let's pull it up. Did Von Miller carry the Broncos to Super Bowl 50? Blown away. 66%. Yes.
Thank you, America, aka Broncos Country.
Just wild though.
The thing is,
this
like-
was a pretty debated one because we also put out just the clip of it, and there were people going back and forth.
So I only currently have energy for defending Nikola Jokic's MVP case and defending Coach Prime's good name online. So I just didn't have the energy to battle with people. But I took issue with you saying it was disrespectful.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not. Because those players put him in the position to make the game-changing plays. But someone has to do it. And he was the guy who did it. He was the guy who made the plays that won the games.
Didn't DeMarcus Ware have like 4.5 sacks in that playoffs?
Yep, he
Because
balled
of
out,
how
too.
good Von Miller was, people don't realize how good DeMarcus Ware was.
DeMarcus was
If
amazing.
Von would have had all of those sacks that DeMarcus had on top of what he did, well, then it's like, yeah, he was the only playmaker. DeMarcus was a big-time playmaker as well.
For sure. It's just like, to me, it's the
disrespectful,
quarterback.
Ryan.
The quarterback carries the team. On this team, they were led by their defense. Von Miller was the quarterback. He deserves the credit. He carried the team.
Man, but like that
Everyone deserves credit. Like, the person that made me think of this was the person who said, like, it was Wade Phillips who carried the team. Like, no, Von had to go out there and strip sack Cam Newton twice in the Super Bowl.
the what was it? The Bucks team that won the Super Bowl with Tom Brady. Tom Brady did not carry that team. But he was like the best player, or he was the quarterback of the team, and he did good enough to help them win a Super Bowl. But like, he did not carry the team there.
In my opinion,
so there's
he
not always someone
showed up
that
in Tampa
carries.
Bay, took a team that had no shot of winning the Super Bowl, and won the Super Bowl with them. He carried the team.
No, not in that playoff stretch. He didn't carry the team.
They might not even make the playoffs without him.
Also, Von Miller in the regular season in 2015 was definitely very good. He didn't carry them to the 1 seed. It was this defense. And if you want to look at playmakers and like game-changing plays, there was a lot of people making plays besides just Von Miller in the regular season too. So
That is true.
I think you're disrespectful, Ryan, by saying that Von Miller carried that defense.
I think I don't. It's not always, but I think in most cases someone has to carry him. And in this case, I believe it was Von.
I almost think only a quarterback or running back can carry a team. Like and I think that might be.
That's what I felt made this so unique. Is
Speaking of running backs, the Count thinks C.J. Anderson carried that team to a Super Bowl.
stop.
I mean, if you didn't have C.J. Anderson, you were screwed. That is a fact.
But there's other C.J. Andersons out there that they could have had.
But they weren't on the street or anything. If CJ had gotten hurt, there was no replacement.
CJ was on the street and then almost led the Los Angeles Rams to a Super Bowl.
Which is so sick.
CJ GJ was on the street this year.
Yep.
That was a CJ. Okay, and the other poll, what is a better potential game for week 1 Monday Night Football? I worded it just how you hear worded it because we agreed that was fair. And this one has flipped in the past 2 hours. Jets and Broncos, 51%.
Let's go.
Jets and Bills, 49%. But I'm going to take that as a win because this went out to Broncos Country, and only 51% of Broncos Country chose the Broncos.
Did you see all the
in
mentions
this.
we had of Broncos fans, though, saying, I don't want any Broncos games in prime time?
I think the Broncos impact goes the other way.
Give me
It does.
break.
It does.
Oh my
I don't think it goes the other way, but I
gosh.
think it's actually like more 50-50 of Broncos fans.
And then how many primetime games will the Broncos have this year? 69%.
Nice.
Said 1 to 2. 23% said 3 to 4. 2% said 5 plus, and 6% said 0. So more people think there's going to be no primetime games compared to the max.
I think
if it weren't more fun on game, like the bar primetime games are more fun, and usually the primetime tailgates are a little more fun. So if it weren't for that, I would be cheering for the Broncos to get 0 primetime games.
I think there were 11 teams last year that had 2 or fewer. So I just don't think the Broncos are in the bottom third of
What's
what
funny,
people want to see.
It's funny though, like if let's just say Russell Wilson has an incredible bounce back season.
Yeah.
He has the best season of his career.
Yeah.
The Broncos aren't on prime time, and we're like trying to make the MVP case for him. But we're like,
Right.
no one's seen him because he's not on prime time.
Yeah, and you know what? They deserve that from how they were the year before.
Yeah.
They'll have 6 primetime games next year if that's the case in 2024.
Right.
And at that point, they might be bad again. Who's to say?
Boy, you wouldn't think it'd be
You could miss the window.
Such a roller coaster.
We've seen it before.
Well,
we've seen the drop off.
I see it on this show every day with you, Henry. That roller
Wow.
coaster. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We got a couple more super chats, I believe. One coming in from our friend Ben Johnson. That's quarterback's name, right?
No, that is the offensive coordinator for the Lions.
Yeah. Was there also a
Probably.
quarterback? Yeah, probably.
No, there's Brad
Ben Johnson.
Brad.
Oh.
That's who I'm. Okay, yeah. Ben Johnson's the quarter. Both Lions, right?
Brad Johnson played for like everyone.
Yeah, so
but
probably the
most
Lions.
notably for the Buccaneers. He went to a
Yep.
Super Bowl.
You're right. Anyways, he's in our comment section. Thanks, Ben. He says, Lamar and the Ravens have too much scorched earth. Contract too rich for most. Ravens need a quarterback. Russ plus a 2024 first round pick. And we pay $6 million of Russ's 2024 salary for Lamar. Is it doable with the cap?
No.
No?
I mean, you could probably squeeze it in, yes. But it's just completely not happening.
I do wonder what's going to happen with Lamar and the Ravens. Probably eventually he just settles for whatever deal they're offering him.
Wouldn't Sean Payton, though, be one of the top coaches to value Lamar Jackson if you were just looking at, like, how you think? Like, it would essentially give him a combination of Drew Brees and Taysom Hill.
Yeah,
I
really
think
would.
The big thing is I bet like half the league is just scared of him. It's like, what do we do? Like, you have to be so unique with him. Like, Sean Payton is not scared at all to figure out how to use Lamar Jackson.
That's for sure.
That would be so sick.
What would be the trade? Like, what are the Ravens looking for in a deal for Lamar? Are they too far apart on money where it's never going to come together? Like, would Russ and a first do it in a trade?
No, you probably. I mean, Jerry's probably gone.
Well,
Like
the
he's
Ravens,
including him? They want Cortland.
the Ravens, decided that they were going to just collude with the NFL to make sure no one signed him, and they would just get Lamar on a cheap salary. So I just think they're just waiting for that to happen.
Do we think it's going to be a 1-year prove-it deal for Lamar then? Because I can't imagine he's going to want to take a long-term bad deal.
It's just gonna be a franchise tag if he's willing to sign it.
You're right, because they have
Yeah.
franchise tagged him.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it would be.
But if he's willing to sign it,
Man, you can't
I hope
sit out a
Lamar
whole
doesn't
year,
do the
can
thing where
you?
you don't sit, where you don't play. I hope he doesn't do that. It seems to never work out. Who's the
for the
best
player, yeah.
Who's the best player who had to sit out a year and came back? Not from injury,
Yeah.
like some weird. Like remember Le'Veon Bell?
Yeah.
And he came back and he just wasn't good anymore.
We talked about this guy yesterday. Deshaun Watson obviously sat out for different reasons, but missed an entire season. His stats
sucked.
the year before he sat out
Were insane.
Were incredible.
Yep.
Now the team was bad, but he was incredible. He sits out a year, comes back. He's Russell Wilson bad last
Worse.
year. Yes,
Worse.
worse than Russell Wilson last year. And you don't want to sit out a year, miss out on $30 million guaranteed, come back, have a really bad season, and then what are you getting?
Yeah.
A backup contract?
Yeah. I worry
And
about that.
plus, people are worried about Lamar's body not holding up, and then he misses a year, so he's a year older now.
But I guess
Man.
in his case, he saves himself a year of wear and tear on his body
True.
without getting a long-term contract.
Yep, it's true.
And I mean, if he actually holds out, then all of a sudden teams that probably is enough to start swinging into the guaranteed money when he's on the market. And Herbert and Burrow all would be at the same time. So
Yeah, Herbert, Burrow, one other guy is up for a contract this year. Who's the other guy? I guess it's Tua, but I don't think
he's
Tua's
not
in that conversation
no.
of being paid big time. Oh, it's Jalen Hurts.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course. Yep. Oh yeah, because the 5th year option.
Yeah, no
Hopefully
fifth year.
Justin
Exactly.
Herbert
Yeah, so-
realizes that he can never accomplish anything with the Chargers and refuses to sign with them.
But when he's offered $60 million a year,
Exactly.
$200 million guaranteed,
That might be
and
better
to
for the Broncos.
to live in LA, he's probably gonna say, "Yeah, F it."
Go give the 7th best
fine,
quarterback in the
I'll-
league $60 million. I'm down.
Don't
Have fun, Chargers.
Please don't sleep on Justin Herbert.
Sleep on Justin
Sleep on
Herbert.
what?
He literally hasn't accomplished anything.
Okay, that's
Rookie passing yards
That's
leader.
sleeping on him. I'm just saying. Don't sleep on him.
I'm fast asleep.
Justin Herbert's really good.
I'm in REM sleep.
Oh man,
Damn.
he's gonna wake you up.
He did
It's gonna be
have.
cruel.
He put up some Jay Cutler numbers though. It's a good year. 25 and 10. Feels
That's
like prime
all
Cutler.
he did?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
with 5,000 yards, 4,800 yards.
He is
rounding
severely underachieving from the 70 and 13 I've got with him.
Oh, everyone's severe. Patrick Mahomes is underachieving.
It's just a shame he doesn't have any weapons.
Keenan Allen's overrated. Mike Williams isn't a $20 million receiver.
Mike Williams is sick.
He's not.
When you go back, like
I don't think Mike Williams is okay, I'm talking about a $20 million receiver when he got that contract, which he was like, the second highest paid receiver in the NFL when he got that deal? He's not that. No one can
Yeah.
make the case he's a top 5 receiver.
No,
I
not top
certainly
5.
won't.
I love what the Chargers have done with their weapons just because they're paying guys who aren't true superstars.
They have the Chargers have good weapons and they're paying them and have paid them elite money.
Yep.
One of the things that you don't want to do as a franchise is pay good, great players elite money.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if they had made the obviously that they wouldn't have done it in division, but made the trade for Tyreek Hill or
Right.
made the trade for Stephon Diggs. Like
Yeah.
we're probably having a different conversation.
Yeah, or like Austin Eckler, he's their best weapon on offense. If they trade him this year, what are they doing?
I have no idea, but I love it.
Yep.
yeah. I also love it.
Keep it up, Chargers.
Keep charging. I mean,
keep charging on.
Pay Herbert.
They did it.
Reset the market.
I don't care what happens.
It is going to be
they're
interesting.
going to pay him, obviously. And
If
I
they
just
have the
hope-
money, though.
I want Herbert to say, like, look, this franchise is a fucking joke.
And keep your doctors away from me.
That's a cash poor team, and at that point, quarterbacks are probably getting pretty close to guaranteed money.
And
Which means
the
all of
Chargers
it
have
needs-
had like strong quarterback play for almost their entire franchise history
Yeah.
and never done anything.
It's
Yeah.
really true. They're I mean, what are they? The Packers light?
Essentially, yeah.
It's like been really good quarterback play, not Hall of Fame level play, but just below that, like consistently really good.
And I mean, Phillip Rivers is going to the Hall of Fame.
That's true. That's true, but
shit.
not with them. Like it's not like he was playing at that level with them.
Phillip Rivers?
Oh, sorry. I thought for some reason I saw Drew Brees.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you think Phillip Rivers is Hall of Fame?
yeah, for sure.
Then Eli Manning's for sure Hall of Fame, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks just get into the Hall of Fame.
It's true. It's a lot easier when you're a QB, especially for Eli. You're a Manning, and you beat that. I mean, I think Eli's a Hall of Famer.
He will be.
Yeah.
I mean, he will be.
Well, wait. I think he should be. Do you guys think he should be?
I mean, Wes Welker better be.
Oh, without a doubt, of course.
Okay.
I don't.
I'm
right there with
hate
ya.
Hall of
Demarius
Fame.
Thomas probably doesn't fit that line.
Wes Welker's the best that's ever played his position.
Yep.
Yeah.
So is Devin
Edelman
Hester.
probably is.
Yeah.
Or is a Hall of Famer if Eli is. I'm trying to think of Broncos.
Why
Like,
are you
where's that?
comparing wide receivers to run? To
Well, I'm just
quarterbacks?
no, because again, just because the bar is so much lower for
Specifically
quarterbacks.
slot wide receivers.
Well, yeah.
That's
To
'cause
me,
Welker
it's
came
just Eli gets in based on like the Dragon Slayer thing, and I think that
Yeah.
that's probably worth it.
Also, 2 Super Bowls. This
Ryan
relates.
Clady is in then. If Eli is, Ryan Clady should be.
So I don't know how to
No.
contextualize this.
No,
at
but see,
all.
that's the point,
Let-
though.
let
Like,
me-
the bar is just so low for quarterbacks
But it's
compared
not-
to other positions.
No, I don't think so. What Eli
Yes, it
Manning
absolutely
did,
is.
and what Eli Manning did in 2 Super Bowls, though.
Yeah.
But let's relate that to Mike Shanahan.
If Eli
Mike
Manning's in,
Shanahan.
Tom Ruin's in for sure.
Not Tom Ruin.
Mike Shanahan, 2 Super Bowls. That should be the case right there. Plus all the other things that we talked about him having the coaching tree, him developing an offense that is now dominating the NFL right now, back-to-back Super Bowls. And he had good offense without John Elway, too. Jake
Yeah.
Plummer.
Yeah.
Made it to an AFC championship game. So Mike Shanahan should be in.
All right. Do we have any other questions?
We have some on the website. Do we have time? I just don't know what the studio schedule is like.
So yes.
Oh, we got plenty of time.
We got a few minutes.
Oh, we got plenty of time. Okay.
Yeah.
First one from Arvada Luke says, the first rule
I
of
didn't
the
say that.
Christmas game is we don't talk about the Christmas game. Oof. I am all for no primetime games this year, especially if we can skip the second slot time for the first Monday Night Football game. It is the worst waiting all weekend to see if the Broncos might be
I
good
disagree.
this year. which has been a coin flip at best the last 6 years, and then being too tired / hungover on a Tuesday and possibly sad too. Do the owners have any influence on the primetime aspect? I think it's clear from the GOAT talk, if you want to be in the conversation, you can't get injured. But more importantly, you can't sit randomly if you want to be in the conversation, because then people might imply that you're super soft. Soft like a person on the sun, soft like a $3 bill, soft like a goose fart. You know what I mean?
No.
Best of Fridays to y'all. Hey, Al. No idea what you mean, our battle, Luke.
Soft like a $3 bill?
Yeah, never. I feel like that'd be strong, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, $2 bill is pretty strong, I feel.
It would be special. It doesn't exist. It'd be fake.
Soft like a $3
bill. I think this was a shot at Joel Embiid. It has to be.
He said
because
the Suns.
Football players.
Shot at Kevin Durant.
Suns spelled as, no, could have been.
Devin Booker?
Soft like a popsicle on the sun.
Oh. Like if you put a popsicle on the sun, it would melt.
Away. Yeah. I think this is a shot at Joel Embiid. I feel like NFL players, there's not many that come to mind that are like soft where they get called out often for sitting.
No.
Not that popped to my head, but NBA definitely.
Julius Thomas did.
Well, that's true. Maybe he's referring to Julius Thomas. The count. It says Vaughn was obviously key, but if anyone, quote, put the team on their back, it was CJ Anderson. This is what I was talking about. He says, in the Broncos 5 regular season victories, CJ averaged 4.9, 7.5, 6, 8.11, and 6.3 yards per game or per carry. He was a freight train getting stronger every carry in every game. With an ailing Peyton Manning and Brock Lobster at the helm, CJ was the engine. No CJ, no ship, in my opinion. Love the count.
It's a wild take, but at least he backed it up.
He did. He certainly did. And I do think that, like, without Vaughn, you don't win the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Without CJ, yeah, maybe you don't win the Super Bowl. Without a lot of these players, you probably don't win the Super Bowl. And the thing about that Broncos team, their margin for error was so slim, which is what, in one case, maybe the team wasn't as dominant. The team wasn't that dominant because the offense held them back so much. But it's what made that defense so good was they had no margin of error throughout the whole season. Mm-hmm. And they not only won the Super Bowl, they were the 1 seed.
They created their own margin for error. Meaning, like, they were creating turnovers and doing things in the game that, like, allowed them to have a little bit of room.
Yeah, and specifically the last 5 minutes, 2 minutes of games, the defense absolutely took over, and not just like made stops, but made touchdowns that were needed.
Yep.
And we've got one more.
And the overtime run against Patriots, that's what got them home field advantage.
Yes.
So there's the most direct example.
In the snow at night. Oh, glorious.
12 one-score games.
That's incredible. And what was their record?
They won 14 games. I can go figure out where the wins were.
Figure those out when I'm reading our last comment from C. Fillmore72. Says, selfishly, and I think I may speak for all DNVR family over here in Europe, I'm hoping for 0 primetime games this season. The NFL regular kickoff times are 6 p.m. and 9:05 or 9:25 p.m. in the UK. So we have primetime scheduling.
Game is primetime.
It's so true. So we have primetime scheduling every week. I love my Sunday evenings during the season. Generally, it's red zone early window and Broncos in the late window, then away to bed just after midnight. Pods, as always, informative and entertaining, great mixture of journalism takes and banter. Was also glad to help settle the height debate on Twitter. Keep up the good work. Go DNVR. Christopher, man, that sounds like an ideal life. You just get to do whatever you want on Sunday, and then 6 p.m. rolls around, you get football the next 6 hours.
Sunday afternoon they have the Premier League too. So
damn. I guess the only downside is a primetime game starts at 2:30 a.m. on Monday morning.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
that is really tough. Also, the Broncos were 9-3 in those 12 games. Regular season.
Wow. There you go. Yep. And then playoffs, obviously.
2-0.
2-0.
Wow.
Super Bowl, not a one-score game.
No. Beat the hell out of them.
Definitely not. Is that it?
That's it.
All right, before we get out of here, one last shout out to our friends over at Fubo TV. They've got 140 live channels of sports shows, movies, and news. You can stream live TV from any device, and you can watch your Colorado sports teams. You got the Nuggets in action tonight. Taking on the Suns. Hopefully they play some guys. But if not, you're still probably going to watch if you're like me. So get Fubo, sign up, make sure you get in on all of the things that you can watch over at Fubo TV, and use the code. What do we got here? Oh, use the link in our description to get 15% off. Use the link in our description to get 15% off over at Fubo so you can watch the Nuggets and Avs right from your smart TV or any of your other devices. That is going to wrap it up for us today.
Boom.
Appreciate you all for tuning in. It's going to wrap it up for us for the week.
Boom.
And we will see you on Monday.